There are a lot of things going on in the world right now. And even though we're not going to talk specifically about the things that are going on in the world, we're going to talk about how we respond to those things.
And what things feed our stress and anxiety and how God has called us to be instead. So I am excited to have this conversation. It's very timely in the world as it is today. And and I think the only other thing I would say is being able to stay in your parasympathetic nervous system does not mean you don't care.
Welcome to the Heart and Soul Elevation Podcast, where faith meets wellness and women learn to live aligned, spirit, mind, and body. We're your hosts, Melissa Holman
and Stephanie Pasniokis, two Jesus-loving women passionate about helping you steward your health without losing sight of the one who gave it to you.
Around here, healing happens in community.
Scripture leads the way, and science simply confirms what God designed.
Let's elevate your heart and soul together.
What does toiling for God really look like? Because he tells us that we shouldn't be unequally yoked. He tells us that God, Jesus's yoke is easy and
his
the
burden
burden is light. And that's how we are supposed to toil. We are supposed to toil with him.
Yes.
It's not the toiling that we see as a society, right? We think
the striving, the struggling, the hustling.
And it has to be hard and it has to be stressful and it has to be all these things. But the scriptures say we're supposed to toil with him, and his burden is easy and his yoke is light.
Mm-hmm.
That's how our toiling is supposed to feel. It's not supposed to feel burdensome. And
then that's the thing, right? Because he created our nervous system. We're
yes.
supposed to be mostly in parasympathetic. The sympathetic is for those moments where we need to fight or flight or to survive, to keep going.
Yes.
It's not to be permanently on.
Mm-hmm.
We already know a lot of research has been done how to be in that sympathetic nervous system. I was just reading about that device. It's like this teardrop thing that you can set on your chest, and it vibrates, and there's earphones, and it has this soothing thing to activate your vagus nerve to induce parasympathetic like calm and this and that. We know a lot about it. We know that community, we know connection, we know oxytocin, we know all these things, right? And that we're supposed to be there most of the time. And I try to go back. It's like, okay, what did a day in a life look like for a woman, even one in business, even one that was doing her work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And getting up and doing things, and what did it look like for Mary? To be able to trust in the Lord and do what is set before, and not stress over it, because who by warring is going to add 1 cubit to their lifespan. It depends on the translation you read, but that's my favorite because it's the one that I read as a kid. And yeah, we're not extending our life. In fact, we're doing quite the opposite by staying in sympathetic mode. And so, yet I've got this lifetime of conditioning
Mm-hmm.
that my brain believes that if I am going to succeed, it has to be hard. It has to be the uphill battle. It has to be, or I'm not doing it right. And it's going to fail because I'm not trying hard enough, because the world constantly says a business is only, this many percent of businesses fail in the first 5 years because this, and they're not doing this, and they're not doing that, and they need to do this, and they need to do that. And, and so yet to do all of those things, sometimes, like, if you're just one person, I mean, how much can you do? Again, I don't know how often I'm ever going to say this. It just comes up in my mind all the time. I think this is what God's putting on my heart for my business and for my faithpreneurship, which I love your word, is those fishermen were toiling all night long. They are experts. They know how
They
to
got
find
nothing.
fish. They know how to find the fish. They know where they're going to be. They know what they're doing. They know how to fish. That is their
Their
livelihood.
sonar was not working that night.
It was not happening. And then God, Jesus was like, just come,
I'll
here
that
you are
side.
in the shallows in a place that the fish aren't supposed to be, throw the net on the other side. It didn't make any logical sense whatsoever. And it was a bounty, a bounty. It solved lots of problems, lots of concerns, lots of worries, practical worries, not just for income, but livelihood, like eating, like their own livelihood, their own ability to keep the roof over their heads.
Yep. Well, and this comes back to the yoke, right? This comes back to the yoke that we are asked to take. We are asked to take the yoke that is attached to Jesus. God does not command it. He doesn't cajole us to do it. He's a gentleman. He says, here, take my yoke. It's easy and it's light. Why? Why is it easy and light? Because he's already done all the work. He has already done all the work. All we have to do is take it and put it on. That's it. And that's where the faith part of being in this faithpreneurship comes in.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, and the guidance.
It doesn't make any logical sense. It does
doesn't,
not
and
make a bit of logical sense.
There's still work to do. There's still things that you have to do. I mean, it's not going to do itself.
No, it's not going to do itself. But the thing is, when I am yoked with Jesus and I am following literally where he is leading me, because that's what the yoke is for. The yoke that's attached to the older oxen, the one that knows the path, and the younger ox just kind of follows, just kind of does what he does. And it's not a burden because the yoke actually never touches my neck.
Yeah, but
it's fully on him. It is fully on him. All I have to do is go where he leads. So whether that's sitting here creating a program, sitting here creating content, sitting here working with clients, whatever it is that he's asked me to do that day, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Or I have to set my business aside because my family needs me that day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do.
Or you know what? Or your body is sending signals that say, you need a rest.
Yeah.
You need a rest. You need to,
And logically, it doesn't make any sense because big business tells you that's not how it works.
Yep.
$1 million coaches tell you that's not how it works.
Yeah, and that you have to have everything planned out, scheduled ahead of time.
For the next 90 days.
That can be helpful. It's good to have a vision. It's good to have an idea of where you want to go. And we get to say, Lord, this is my plan. This is my path. These are my plans, but
these are my
I give it to you. These are my thoughts. Please establish the plan according to your will. Take the things off the list that shouldn't be there. Add the things that should be there. Just help me see your guidance and trust. I can't tell you how many.
Write down the goal in pen, right? This is the goal. This is where I want to be. But I write down all of my plans in erasable pen because plans change. The goal may stay, but the plans change. I have to be flexible because God's plan is not my plan. My plan needs to align with God's plan, whatever that is. So erasable pen is my friend.
I might have to get some of those. I usually just have a lot of scratch outs in my planner.
They're called Friction, Frixion. I am not getting paid to say that, but it is an erasable pen, and it's through friction that it erases. It's not a traditional eraser where you get the rubber. It's not a rubber eraser. It is literally friction that erases the pen. It's wonderful. I love these things, and they come in all different colors. Like I get the multi-pack that has like 8 different colors in it.
Very nice. It also sounds like a kind of gift I have to get my daughter. She'll love them.
They're wonderful. Love them. Yeah.
So
erasable pen, because I'm not always going to be plowing the same row. God's going to have me plow a different row. It just depends on the day.
Then again, this is another place where my father's spirit, my earthly father's spiritual mentorship, it comes in because he is a business owner. He's been a business owner for forever at this point. And he's 78 and he's still going strong. It's a solo business. It's a physical job. It's amazing, but he has hundreds of stories where he's got an impossible day scheduled And God does things, and he could be nervous, like, oh, I'm supposed to be here. I'm going to be late. This and that happened, but I was in a conversation that was clearly the one that was supposed to happen. And all of a sudden that person calls and says they're running 15 minutes late. He says, don't worry, get there when you get there. I'm going to be there, blah, 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 blah. It's all, it's just all of a sudden it all works out. And then there have been times where he looks at a few months worth of work and says, and sees how much he did and how many houses he was at and says, this isn't physically possible. I wasn't able to do this when I was 50. I'm 78. How did this even happen? How did I get that? How did that happen? And it was
Because
only
God.
God,
Yeah.
only God.
Mhm.
And every day he prays, this is the schedule. This is what I've put in front of me for the day.
Order my steps.
Order my steps,
Order my steps.
establish your plan in my life. And I have had a couple of weeks ago, I had a lot of people, scheduled, some rescheduled, they rescheduled later in the day. It worked out so perfectly. I was like, I couldn't have planned that, which I couldn't have, because my plan would have had me overlapping and late and stressed and worried about the traffic in between point A and point B, because I had it perfect timing. And so I'm so grateful for my father's example there, because that's one thing that I feel that I'm really okay with. Early in my business, something like that would happen. I'd be like, oh no, and now I'm like, okay,
It's,
thank, we're good.
people who've been following me for a while, they hear me say it all the time. I firmly 100% believe in providence. Like, and I know that some people can hear that and think it's just like a cagey saying, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. But I really truly believe that everything that happens for a reason. The good things and the bad things that happen. There's a purpose
Yeah.
behind them. There is a
Or
provident purpose behind them.
yeah, or at the very least, because we've had this conversation recently in my Bible study, at the very least, that we can't ignore the fact that God isn't the only mover. There is
Correct.
another mover.
Mhm.
There's things that just happen because of the world and the way it's set up that are random and that are accidental and that happen. There are intentional things that are put in place by the enemy. There are consequences of our own actions. But no matter what those are, God is over all of them. And he has the ability and the desire, if we love him and are called according to his purpose, he will make all things good and work toward the good.
All of them.
So all of them,
All of them.
regardless of what caused it on the underneath it, because we can't get rid of suffering, and just because you suffer doesn't mean God said, I am making you suffer. There are things that he allows, there are things that he stops, but no matter what happens, he will work it all. And only he has that perfect vision. We see through the glass darkly. We can't
Mhm.
know. And
Mhm.
so we have no idea that this bad thing actually stopped something worse from happening. The fact that this happened to us spared us from something more worse.
Yes. Yes.
And what that worse was, we might not have thought it was worse, but the
Yep.
consequences of it might have been worse in the long run, whether it's from our heart or from a physical or from whatever.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but
And that comes down to how we view what's happening in the world, right? That comes down to how we view what is happening in the world. At the end of 2018, I was doing ride share because I needed to be around people. Like, for me, driving for ride share was an opportunity to be around people.
Mhm.
It wasn't about money. It was like, I needed people. I needed to be peopling because I'm an extrovert. And the job that I had at that time had me sequestered away in a little cubicle, and it was killing me. So I started ride sharing. And it was New Year's Eve. It's supposed to be the biggest day of the year, obviously, for ride sharing. And I was so excited to get to do it that year. Like, that was going to be my first time doing New Year's Eve, driving drunk home. And I was really excited about it. That day, I was T-boned and couldn't drive. So I could have gone, great, there goes the biggest night of the year.
You could have been
All
upset and
that.
resentful and angry.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what did God just save me from?
Yes.
What did he just save me from? It's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's perspective. So whatever is going on in the world, literally, it is perspective. So I could have gone into my sympathetic system and felt sorry and pissed off and frustrated about the circumstance, but instead chose to be in the parasympathetic system going, wow, what did God just save me from?
Exactly. And it's that trust, that trust saying, no matter what happens, he's got this one way or another. I'll do everything that I can do. Like, during the big storm, lost part of our heat. My husband doing everything he can to try to thaw out the pipes. It just wasn't working. And we just, at that point, was like, we did what we could do. The rest is in God's hands.
Yep,
We'll just pray a
exactly.
pipe doesn't burst. Right. But at that point, that trust, that having that trust and that perspective allows you to be in parasympathetic. It allows you to sh- to take a look. This is in my coaching practice, we use the sphere of control exercise to put things into perspective. What are the things I have absolute control over? My thoughts, how I see things, what I decide to do, right? The decisions I make with me, the things I have partial control over, I can influence decisions of those around me, or I can set things up. I can create a situation where I can increase the probability of good things happening. For example, my health, I can optimize, I can do what I can for my health, and then the outcome can be more likely to be positive than negative if I do certain things, but I can't 100% assure it. Things outside of my sphere of control, how other people think, how they perceive things, how they perceive me, what's happening in the world at large, what's happening with the weather. I can worry about, oh my gosh, what if this happens, blah, 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 blah. But it's outside of my sphere of control. And that is where we have to trust. We have to trust, and or at the very least, if if somebody is not a spiritual person, doesn't have the relationship with God, doesn't know how to trust God yet, at the very least, recognize there's no point in agonizing over this because
It's
I
outside of
can't
my,
do anything about it. It's outside of my sphere of control. And all it's doing is causing me to spin wheels in anxiety and keeping me in a state where I can't rationally think well. We can't rationally think well in sympathetic mode.
correct,
We
correct.
can't make good decisions. We can't be we aren't
I
able
can't,
to
if I
be
can't see a
creative.
solution, I can't find
Can't
a
be
solution.
creative. We
No,
cannot be creative.
no.
Um, we're just in survival, and in those moments, people in my world, they often, I had a person who was recently had a really tough day, and they're like, I'm going to go eat comfort food right now. And I'm thinking to myself, why does comfort food have to be bad for you? But for this person, it was like, I'm going to carb load right now.
Yeah, because it gives
And
me that immediate dopamine hit,
right, but
and
I've
then I
spent the
crash.
last, yeah, I've spent the last, I don't know how many years now, 8 years, creating recipes, maybe longer actually, creating recipes that are my comfort food recipes that are totally helpful for me, so I can have both.
But this comes back to that perspective, right? How am I viewing things? Like, does it have to be bad for me, or can
Yeah,
it be good for me? And I choose to acknowledge that this is my comfort food instead of that. Like, it's a perspective
yeah.
shift.
And
It's a paradigm. It is
do
a
I need to be
paradigm shift.
comforted? Do I need to be comforted by food? What are the other options? But there might be a
Yeah,
period of transition where, yes, maybe that's the thing. But eventually,
yeah.
now for me, it's not. God delivered me from my emotional attachment to food. I am a foodie. I love food. I love food. I am a foodie, but my emotional attachment, where I would do it out of boredom or out of upset or out of like anything like that, or
Mhm.
go, has was lifted
Looking for the comfort in food. Yeah,
after my first extended fast,
yeah, yeah.
where that just it was not what I was expecting as an outcome of my first extended fast. I was doing it purely for the science benefit.
Of
Had no
course,
idea.
of
Had
course
no
you were.
idea. Of course I
Yeah,
was.
of course you were. That's who you are. Part of who you are.
Yeah. So that was an unexpected but well received benefit from that. So
Yeah.
that was interesting. But anyway, I trusting.
Trust. And what's my perspective? What is, how am I viewing the world around me, and from what lens, what pair of glasses am I wearing as I'm viewing the world around me? Am I putting on my faith glasses, my parasympathetic glasses, or am I putting on my sympathetic glasses that operate out of fear? Those are my choices. I mean, there's probably more, but as far as this conversation goes, I have to put these ones back on. So yeah, these are my faith glasses. Actually, these are my computer glasses so I can see you.
Thank you for joining us here on Heart and Soul Elevation. If this conversation lifted you, share it with another woman who needs community.
Subscribe for more Faith First conversations.
Until then, may the peace of Christ guard your heart, steady your mind, and strengthen your body.